Brother Renard Robinson. Today we're going to be discussing resolve to win. That's the topic for discussion today, is to resolve to be a winner in life. As I get ready for everyone to come join the live today, just in preliminary, look at we face many challenges and struggles every day. And there's a battle whether we're going to become better or become bitter. And these are some serious circumstances of life that we have to face. That it's easy to get angry and despondent and throw in the towel, especially in these times now that we're living in. So today we're going to discuss that, what it takes to be a winner and resolving to win. Developing the mindset of a winner, the birth of the will to win. It's one thing to desire something, and it's another thing to develop the will to do it, meaning that you have resolved all within you to not quit, retreat, throw in the towel, or give up. We're talking about the will to win. All right, let's get started. When it comes to dealing with daily opposition, our own challenges, inward struggles, it's a necessity part of our growth. We all have it, and it's something that we have to resolve. You know, I like the scripture. It says that Apostle Paul, he was speaking, and he said, when I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, and I behaved as a child. Then he said, when I became a man, I put away childish things. And that's where we come to a place of maturity. Sometimes, for some people, they mature differently, or it takes longer for them to reach a point of maturity. Some things, the scripture says that folly is bound in the heart of a child. Sometimes with folly is foolishness. And sometimes in foolishness is dealing with the lack of the ability to reason, a lack of reasoning skills. And that's it happened. You, as a young person, you don't know all the devastation of your actions. You don't understand the consequences of actions, you know. And then as you get older, you become more cautious, you know. Some of that abrupt daringness begins to go away. Just when I was a kid, I used to jump off of roofs and stuff. Then my family member was telling me one time he jumped in a swimming pool and didn't know how to swim, and out in the bay, and somebody had to come save him and get him out of there because the child mindset doesn't process danger correctly. And so maturity is essential in our lives. And what we're dealing with today is developing the will to win. This is important. And let me just say, this topic is exciting to me because this is what I'm about. This is my lifestyle. This is what I do. Dealing with opposition, facing with opposition, and refuse to throw in the towel and give up, to keep coming forward. The wicked flee when no man pursue them, but the righteous are bold as a lion. You have to understand the rightness of your cause, and you have to be bold about it. The ability to overcome fear, courageous. That's important. That's a quality skill of a leader. The ability to use your knowledge effectively in carrying out a resolution. That's important. So we look at that. inward struggles. We all face them. Ever since I was a youngster, I battled with various different things, such as I battled with anger. I dealt with that as a youngster. It happens, but as you mature, you begin to learn how to channel those emotions, how to deal with those emotions, how to handle those emotions. You get the victory over them, or you win over those emotions. Because you can't be a winner in life until you overcome your weaknesses. That's the reality about life. That's the reality of winning. You have to overcome your weaknesses in order to become a winner. In other words, just like, for example, in sports. In sports, you exploit weaknesses. You look at that, your opponent's weakness, and you exploit it. You capitalize on it and you use it for your advantage. And so any weakness can be exploited. Keep that in mind. That's why you can't be a winner until you overcome your weaknesses. And the enemy is so shrewd, he'll even use your strengths against you. That's another level. Using your strengths against you. And that happens a lot. The rightness of your cause, you're doing the right thing, and then the enemy come. That's what happened to Daniel. What happened, he prayed 3 times a day. And those servants that was there made a request to the king that if anyone is caught praying, that they're going to be condemned to death. And what happened? Daniel was faithful. He prayed 3 times a day. And what ended up happening is the king had to carry out his decree against him, because once he gave a decree, that was it. He couldn't change it. Even if he wanted to change it, he couldn't. And so that's what happened. But it shows that against all odds, we could still have the victory and the rightness of our cause, because what happened? Daniel came out without a scratch. And we can come through our challenges, our trials with the victory. And that's what victorious living is all about. It's not about everything going well for you. It's not about everything going good for you. It's not about everything being easy for you. It's not about you just, on a bed of ease and everything is all hunky-dory and flowery. It's not about that. What it's about is knowing that no matter what you go through, that all things work out for your good. And what I mean by work out for your good is about your attitude. Understanding that whatever it is that you're going through is designed to build character, is there to help you to become a better person, is there to help you fortify and strengthen yourself. And if you have to go back to the drawing board, you go back to the drawing board to receive more power. In other words, your downtime is the time you spent going up. You spend that time in focused meditation, concentration. It's all important. And you go back. This is what I mean by being a winner, not giving up. You go back to the drawing board again and again. You go back to get a different vantage point. You go back and look at your situation and say, well, this is what I need to do to bring about a change. In other words, what I'm saying is you strategize. You have to strategize. If you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail. So you got to have a strategy for success. That's important in order to win. And when I'm talking about the will to win, I'm talking about more than an intellectual commitment. Anyone can spend time studying and learning information. Anyone could quote facts and information. Anybody can gather knowledge. That's intellectual. Anybody, that's easy. That's the easy part. Although it takes discipline, although, it takes consistency to gather information, to learn information, spending time studying, to grow. That's important. But that's just the first level, right? Then you have to internalize what you know emotionally. That's why passion is powerful. Nothing ever was ever achieved without it, and nothing could take the place of it. No matter what you face in life, if your passion is strong enough, you will find the strength to succeed. So put your heart, your soul, and your mind, even into your smallest acts. This is the essence of passion. This is the secret to success. That's what I'm talking about. Putting everything you got in it. The commitment of your will. No surrender, no retreat. Here you are, Pharaoh and his army around you. You surrounded, right? Nowhere to go. The people said to Moses, "You have brought us out into the wilderness to die in this desert." Moses said, "Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord." That's what's important, that we stand still. Certain times in life, you're going to have to stand your ground. In certain times in life, you're not going to be able to surrender or retreat. There's certain time in your life you're going to have to look evil in the eye. Yes, that's life. That's what it takes to be a winner. You can't be scared. You got to be courageous. Dealing with people and circumstances is a big challenge for most of us. Something we have to deal with. We can't get away of having to deal with supervisors, employers, co-workers, family, friends, strangers. We can't get away from dealing with people and circumstances. And we don't have control over them. You look at as three things we don't have control over. We don't have control over people. We don't have control over circumstances, but we do have control over ourselves. People, places, and things we don't have control over. And it has been estimated that life is 10% of what happened to us and 90% of how we respond to it. So the question today is, how are you responding to life challenges? Because we're always gonna be challenged. We're always gonna be tested. And it's a blessing passing tests. And we're talking about being a winner. This is what it takes. It's a blessing passing tests. You know, when you have the skill of dealing with people to win your enemies over to become your friend. It takes skills. It's a blessing when you have the strength and the courage to overcome, because things will begin to turn around in your life. You no longer put yourself in the victim seat, but you put yourself in the victor seat, the victorious seat, the winner seat. That's what we're talking about. And so when we look at that, circumstances is always going to come up that is there to try to deter us. Those challenges come up, and they will deter you. They will take you off track if you allow them to. That's why it's so important to have resolved in your mind what you want out of life. That's why it's so important to have a vision, because it helps you make it through the hard times. You can say to yourself, this too shall pass. When you look at that, you think about it, you're going through problems, you're going through challenges, one thing after another, and it don't stop back to back. But you have a vision in mind, you have a goal, you have something that you're striving for. You have something that you want, and you can see it in your mind's eye. And you're going after that thing, full speed ahead, diligently. That means to work hard. That means to burn the midnight oil. That means blood, sweat, and tears. You're putting in that time, you're putting in that work. That's very important. And when you do that, you know, I like the scripture. It says, that we should cry after wisdom? It's certain things that we have to want so bad that we cry for it, shed tears. You know, that was my when I talked about living the dream, that was the meaning of the dream. The meaning of the dream was you wanted so bad, but you accomplished it. And when you accomplished it, you begin to let a tear down your face. It goes like this. My people struggled for so many years. Now, this is a real struggle. This is real life. I'm talking about winning and losing for so many years. Can you imagine that? You're struggling for year after year after year. It don't seem like nothing is going to get better. It seems like things going to get worse for so many years. And the struggle it's like riding a bike up a hill with no easy gear. That's pretty challenging. Riding a bike up a hill with no easy gear. But listen to this. When we got to the top, you looked in my eye and you seen one teardrop and you wonder why. It's because I never seen my people make it this far. See, that's the passion. That's the will. And the tears for the pain. For what? We struggled so hard. There's power in your struggle. Remember that. Hide that in your heart. So we must be ready to meet challenges with our head held high. It's important to meet challenges with your head held high. Now you might say, hey, I didn't suffer so many losses. I lost this, lost my job, lost my house, lost this. And it's hard to hold my head up. I feel like a failure. I'm telling you today, resolve to keep your head held high. Step up to the plate and meet the challenge. And understand that there's power in our struggle. When I started off lifting weights as a teenager, I was about 16 years old. I couldn't lift no more than, I started off about 90 pounds or less. Just not much. But I kept at it. I kept doing it. And I was real skinny then. I was sticks and bones. I was about, let's see, probably a little over 100 pounds. Not much. I was skinny. But I kept at it. I kept lifting. I kept working out. And of course, I had people that I worked out with. I had, my family. My brother was there, my cousin. I started off lifting with them. And before you know it, we used to lift every other day. And then I had Olympic weights at home. So I would go out to my balcony and lift weights every other day. And then after a while, I got stronger and I got stronger. Then before I knew it, I was able to bench press about 300 pounds by the age of 22. Because I challenged myself. Through the struggle, I gained power. And we can gain power from our struggle, but you got to go back and get the intelligence. When I was lifting weights, I had to get the intelligence. I had to find out what I was doing. How do you lift them properly? What is proper form? Should I lift alone or should I get a spotter? You know what I'm saying? Should I lift every day or every other day? I had to learn those things. What are the different kind of workouts? The different muscle groups. I had to learn all that. So once I learned the muscle groups and things like that, and how to lift properly with the proper form and how much to do it, uh, diet and nutrition. How often should I do it? Once I learned those things, then I was ready to soar on my own. I was ready to do it on my own. I no longer needed people there to assist me. I had a program and a routine that I carried out by myself. And it's like that in life. We get the intelligence from our experiences. We go back and we look. That's why it's good to keep a journal. It's important. It's good to keep a journal. Write your lessons, write your experiences down, what you're going through, and you can go back and use that intelligence to better yourself and improve yourself. And I always done that. I studied a lot through the years, and all my notes worked like a journal, because different things that I was going through in my life and different things that I learned, I wrote it down and I studied. Because I wrote it down, I can go back right now. I can go back 10 years into my notes. I can go back 20 years and look at my notes. And it still empowered me to this day. I still learn from it. And so I encourage you, write your lessons down and go back and review them. Keep a journal. Look at that intelligence and see what's happening. Strategize what you can do about it, and then look at the benefits. How did you grow? How did you change? How have you improved? Measure your progress. It's important to do that. Hebrews 13, 1 Corinthians 13:5, it says, examine yourself, whether you be in the faith, prove your own self, know ye not your own self, how Christ be in you, except you be a reprobate. So it's very important that we prove our own self and that we know things for ourselves. And you have to know that you're a winner. People are not going to tell you you're a winner. You have to know you're a winner. I hope you got that. So let's look at that. Understanding that we had a superior power. The superior power that we have is our ability to choose how we want to live. The superior power that we have is our ability to make good decisions, to act on our own best interests, to do things that is going to help us to elevate ourselves, that's going to help us to overcome challenges and circumstances, making decisions to live right, to do right, to be right, to follow the instructions of the Lord. That's very important. So we look at in 1 John 4:4, it says, "You are of God, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is He that's in you than he that's in the world." Keep that in mind. Now we have to understand that in order to win in life, there has to be some competition. There has to be a challenge. There has to be opposition. In other words, what are you winning against? What are you overcoming? You're overcoming the challenge. You're overcoming the opposition. You're overcoming the conflicts that come in many different forms. That's what you have to win. You have to win over the conflicts. You have to win over the temptations. You have to win over the trials that everybody must face. We all must face it. In 1 Corinthians 10:13, it says, "There has no temptation taken you, but such is common to man. But God is faithful." That means He's dependable, reliable, accountable, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able to bear, but will with the temptation make a way to escape, that you may be able to bear it, that you may be able to overcome it. And that's important, learning how to become a mover and a shaker. Yeah, yeah. Certain things you have to avoid. You have to know when to persevere and when to shift gears. That's the wisdom of life. So dealing with trials, all that, you're gonna be tested, right? In order to be a winner, your constitution has to be tested, like a boxer. You know who's next, who's gonna be next, and every time they think they got one that's gonna get you. Well, this person is gonna get him. This person I think is gonna beat him. This when he come up against this, that's how the devil works. If you be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. If you take your hedge of protection off of them, Job that is, I'll make them curse you to your face. That's your competition. That's your opponent. And so these experiences, when we're going through challenges and trials, they call fiery darts of the wicked. And that's how it works. The enemy is out to shoot to kill. And so we got to make sure we're armored up, feet shod with the preparation of the gospel, shield of faith, sword of the spirit, helmet of salvation. We got to have our full armor on. Preparation of peace. We got to have our full armor on. It's very important. Fully covered. That way, the weapons, it won't penetrate. The fiery darts of the wicked, they'll hit our shield and drop to the floor. So we have to understand that our will is involved. The will is important. We have to understand that in order to become our best, we have to go through greater trials. The more trials you go through, it's the bigger the challenge, the bigger the test, the bigger the blessing. The harder the battle, the sweeter the victory. That's the way life works. The harder the battle, the sweeter the victory. And you say, hey, you know what? I want sweet victory. Well, you're going to have to face a hard battle. You're going to have to go through a hard trial. That's why they said, don't be so quick to judge other people. Don't be so quick to compare yourself to other people. You never know. And I remember coming up, and the older folks used to say this. You never know what a person had to go through to get what they got. I'm going to say it again. You never know what a person had to go through to get what they got. You might want what they have. Somebody said, can you walk in my shoes? Can you walk in? Yeah, it sounds good. But can you walk in my shoes? And so when we think about that, life and the challenges of life and what we have to go through, some people, they go through they couldn't take it. That's why we can't compare ourselves. You can't take what I can take. And I probably couldn't take what you could take. And I wouldn't dare try to compare myself to you and try to exert myself above you to pretend like I'm better than you and I can take more than you, because everybody's trial was different. We're built different. We're all unique in our own way. We're individuals. We have individuality. I'm not you and you're not me. There's no comparison. But what happened is people, they get into pride. They become self-centered. They become lifted up within themselves. They become high-minded. And they begin to compare themselves to other people and look down on other people like they're better than them. What a shame. Someone said, you fooled me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, you give me twice, shame on you. You fooled me once. You fooled me twice, shame on me. And many people, it's shame on them. They still haven't learned. And so we have to go through. That's for sure. So it's all about our growth and development. Winning is all about growth and development. It's all about overcoming. It's all about maturing. And it's all about a process that allows things in our life to unfold gradually. You don't expect a baby to do much, do you? But cry and drink milk. You get the point? So in time, through the process of time, we grow, we learn, we develop, we mature, we do things different, we become transformed by the renewing of our mind. We start to see life and circumstances different. Our perception begin to change the mind begins to change as we grow and develop and mature. And if a person's mind isn't changing and growing and developing, something's wrong. Now, when we talk about becoming better or worse, we're talking about the person who's striving to become that winner, to learn, to develop, to grow. But we're talking about the person who become worse is the person who have accepted defeat and failure and despondency and contempt and disdain. And so it's very important to be a winner, to never give up on yourself. To be a winner, to keep going back to the drawing board. To be a winner, to get up, dust yourself off after you fail. To be a winner, keep on striving and moving forward. These are important skills of life. But I tell you, it means a great deal in the scheme of things. It does something great for your confidence and self-esteem. You know what? It's good for the heart. It's good for the heart. It's nothing more gratifying and satisfying to know that you've done your best, that you're striving to become your best. There's nothing more gratifying and satisfying to know that you're honest with yourself and with others. It's nothing more satisfying to know that you have escaped the corruption in the world through lust. Yeah, that's a big one. And so, my appeal today is that you resolve to be a winner, that you don't quit, that you understand that weeping may endure for a night, but joy come in the morning. Yeah. You're going to have to shed some tears. And those who are holding it in and bottling it up, shame on them. We are to release the pain of the past so that we may grow. The more we hold on to burdens, the more it build up on us, more likely for the mind to break down, more likely for the body to break down. That's not becoming better. That's not the winner's mindset. The winner must be honest. The winner must be sincere. The winner must give him or herself wholly and completely and freely to their craft. To resolve to be the best they can be. Until next time, I'll be talking with you. Thank you for tuning in. Passion Driven Ministry. God bless.